interesting recording via video, right, isn't it? Welcome to the AI in Education podcast.
Thank you, Dan, as usual. And I'm not sure whether I should be looking at you or looking at the camera. Because, you know, so many of the times we've recorded remotely.
We have.
It's really weird being in a room with you, Dan.
It is. You smell good, though, which is good to be together in a room.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Dan.
Very expensive aftershave.
So, last week,
yes,
you weren't able to be with us.
No, but...
Because I had a great session with Carlo. It was almost like a meditation because we were talking about AI and the way it changed what students did and the way it changed what librarians did. But we just kept coming back to this point of staying human and being human. And it was like a meditation because, my word, Carlo has an amazing speaking voice.
I know, I listened to it in the car, and yeah, it's just phenomenal. I did message him on LinkedIn, actually. It was a great episode, some great insights into that. And, you know, he's doing the circuit on lots of conferences, so if anybody's lucky to see him, then, yeah, please, you know, follow him on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. Great messages.
I missed him at a bunch of conferences. I'm so frustrated. But anyway.
He's so good.
Finally got to be in a room with him. But that means that this week is going to be the opposite of last week. It is not going to be a mindfulness and meditation session. We are rapidly going to go through the news and research. And guess what, Dan?
What?
There has been more news and research
Really?
on AI.
Yay!
So much so, I've had to collect all of the papers together.
Oh, it's like a proper
this
news briefing where you can tap it on the...
Oh, yeah, I feel like a news announcer, or maybe like Ronnie Corbett.
For all the... Ronnie Corbett? Oh, brilliant, yeah. For all the people from the UK, he's a brilliant comedian.
Yes. Was it Ronnie Barker or Ronnie Corbett that were Four Candles?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's right,
okay.
Four Candles. Look up that
if you're
sketch.
not English, you will still laugh at Four Candles.
Yes.
Yes.
It's
Okay,
fantastic.
my favourite. We'll put a link in the show notes. Make a note of that, Dan.
Please do.
Okay, so Dan, I found some research. I found some news, so we're going to do the same as we usually do.
Yeah.
We are rapidly going to go through and talk about what the news has been that is relevant to education, and then we'll talk about the latest research on AI in education. The point I'll make, Dan, is we are not talking about AI news. We're talking about AI news that is relevant to education. So I'm not going to talk about the corporate restructuring of OpenAI. I'm not going to talk about the gazillions of dollars that are being invested by Anthropic in TPUs, because I don't think any of that stuff is important.
Relevant. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what is important, Dan, the first paper I came across. So
MIT.
So this is MIT. So MIT have produced a guide to AI in school. It's called Perspectives for the Perplexed.
Oh, sounds like me.
Okay, so that gives you some ideas. So look, this is a super guidebook. So Justin Reich, who is the director of MIT's Teaching Systems Lab, worked with a whole pile of contributors, and they talked to a lot of educators. So this isn't isolated European style, well, we'll let the policymakers make the policy. This is, let's talk to teachers to find out what's going on. Look, I love the preface, and I'm going to refer to the preface. So
Go on.
It talked about the building the plane while we fly it analogy. You know that one?
Yeah.
It's like, that's very much what AI feels like. Well, we don't know what it's going to be used for, and we don't know how it's going to change things, but we're using it. So it talked about that analogy, but he took it a little bit further. Here's what he said. Writing a guidebook on generative AI in schools in 2025 is a bit like writing a guidebook of aviation in 1905. Just 2 years after the Wright brothers launched from Kitty Hawk. No one in 1905 could have said the best way to build a plane or fly one or operate an aviation system.
Yeah.
And no one in 2025 can say how best to manage AI in schools. It will take our school systems, our educators, our policymakers, our researchers, our parents, our governments, some number of years to try a range of approaches and suss out which ones work best in which contexts.
That's great. Yeah, well, does that summarize it all in terms of, is that useful for schools to look at? Has it got any information?
Yeah, so it's a genuinely guidebook. It's not a policy manual. It's not a set of best practices.
Okay.
It's a snapshot of the current conversation going on amongst teachers, amongst school leaders, and around
Sounds pretty
students.
accurate, doesn't it? Yeah.
And it says nobody has all the right answers because there are no right answers at the moment. And so it's very much talking about experimentation, feedback loops, iterating on policy. You know, an AI policy for today may not fit for next year.
Yeah.
And the themes running through it, the themes were AI arrived before policy. Yeah, everyone's doing it, whether or not we want them to.
Yeah.
Second point that runs right through it is we need to put ethics at the center of the conversation. The third point, there is currently mixed evidence on student learning and on teacher workload. So that's right. I see lots of, this is going to save you an hour. And it's like, but I'm going to spend an hour learning how to do it.
Yes.
Like I often talk to people and say, hey, do you know that hour you save with AI? You're going to use it to learn about AI because for the next few years, we're going to have to stay on that treadmill. And then the last point is AI literacy is going to be so important. Many teachers lack confidence or knowledge of how AI works, the biases that were in it, its environmental, its IP costs. It's always a conversation that comes up. And so I think it's about that. How do we build AI literacy? And then how do we build AI fluency? So literacy is, I understand the basics. I can get it to do things for me. But fluency is that confidence thing, I think.
You're using it in multiple contexts. Does it say anything about AI detectors in it at all? Or integrity?
It says, they kind of basically reframe the AI detector discussion.
Right. Okay.
So they say it's really about going from policing to trust. It's about learning design. It's about ethics. It's not about AI detectors. It's about how do you design learning and assessments in order that they are suitable for an AI age, rather than walking around a building playing whack-a-mole.
Yeah, okay. That's good. That's a good... So that's available. We put the link in the show notes for that. So that's MIT Guide to AI in Schools.
Yep, it's written by and for American teachers, but I have to say it is brilliant internationally as well. So yeah, that was my first brilliant find. The second one is one that you pointed out to me. This was the McKinsey report.
Yes.
About... Yeah. So the title is 1 Year of Agentic AI. 6 lessons from the people doing the work.
6, not 5, not 7, 6 lessons.
Okay, so Dan, you sent this to me and said, this is interesting, but you didn't tell me why. So the first question I have for you is, what does agentic AI mean?
So agentic AI, we talked about it this year being the year of agentic AI. So agents, so it's the next level from just using your chatbot as a kind of bot and chatting to it. It's about actually saying, well, now what I'm going to do is offload a specific intern, say, to look at a specific domain. So I might have an agent to look at HR documents or HR policy. So it's like a specific domain within inside your chatbot. So you create agents. If you're in Google, it's gems. If you're inside ChatGPT, it's GPTs, and then you'd be putting those agents inside your ecosystem to look at particular domains.
Okay.
And that was also in the Work Trend Index report where they were saying the frontier firms were using agents. If you remember, you quizzed me on if I was an agent boss. So you're managing these agents in your company. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to add something on top of that, Dan, because I think there is a bit about it taking an action as well.
Oh, yeah.
An agent isn't just a smart ass. It actually does something as well, under most people's definition. Okay, so this comes from McKinsey, which is a management consulting company. And it's interesting because management consulting is being threatened a bit by AI. But I think they have massive credibility for this. And the reason for this is they've got a division called Quantum Black, who produced this report.
Right. Sounds like a great division. I want to join that.
Do you reckon they watched Black Mirror and then said, we want that in the name?
Quantum Black.
But I saw about a week ago that they were posting pictures of their Grammy Award, except it wasn't for records. It was for using OpenAI tokens. They have used, in McKinsey, 100 billion OpenAI tokens. So Dan, explain to the audience what a token is.
Yes, so token is a way you could think about it. It's actually 4 characters. So think about it like that. So if you type in a query or a prompt into ChatGPT, every 4 characters, including spaces and full stops, is a token. So that's the way that the large language model in the back end can then parse your prompt, basically. So it'll split up your message into bits of 4, essentially, and then break up those words. So token is how that kind of the mechanism that works. And the way, if you're buying OpenAI, then you're buying an amount of tokens per prompt, essentially, or if you're buying Copilot, it's the same kind of thing. It sounds a bit complicated, but there's a mechanism of being able to cost it out.
Okay, so let me check my understanding. If I type into an AI chatbot, complete this sentence, the cat sat on the question mark, that's like 25 tokens, because there's a whole bunch of letters in there it's sending off. And then it's going to come back with an answer. And if the answer it gives me is Matt, that's maybe a couple of tokens. If it comes back to me with a big philosophical thing saying, oh, you're asking a really interesting question there, and it could be Matt, it could be... Then that's more tokens.
More tokens,
So to use 100 billion tokens... I'm probably thinking then that some of those really complicated enterprise scenarios about, well, let's give it all of our policies and ask it to make sense of it so you can ask questions of it. That's like a high token use of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Super. Okay, so anyway, McKinsey, what they did was they looked at 50 real world use cases for agentic AI. And this was projects that they had worked on, building AI agents, redesigning workflows, working with teams. So not just the flashy stuff, but real business problems. And they have said, and I believe this is much wider than just agentic AI, the best results come from combining human expertise, strong evaluation systems, and reusable agent components within a workflow. So let me break that down. So human expertise, we know the problem we're trying to solve, and the smartest person in the room has said, oh yeah, I always look at this document when I'm looking for this information, or this is our corporate style for how we write. The second is strong evaluation systems, which means you build an agent, it works, hurrah, and then you come back in a week's time and go, does it really work? Does it really, really work? And then in a month's time you come back and go, is it still working?
And even, does it need to be updated or modified or retrained or whatever it might be? You need that workflow.
And I think some people have forgotten, you can't just automate a process and then walk away because this stuff changes all of the time. Okay, and then the last bit was then about the reusable agent components. So I'm guessing that's the bits you put together. Go, oh, I already know how to read our policy documents. I've got something that reads it really well. We'll use that in my agent.
Yeah, and we'll see more of that, I think, when we look at agentic AI in the long term, where people might create a generic agent bot, for example, like you just said, for HR, but then that might be called by other agents as well. So you can have multi-agent orchestration as well long term. But it's interesting, reusing those objects.
Your full geek is coming out today.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so they share 6 crucial lessons. Go and read the report for the 6 crucial lessons. I'm going to just talk about one of them. They say, focus on the workflows, not the agent. It's not about building cool tech. It's about solving a workflow problem.
And you do a lot of that in your consultancy and your independent work, don't you?
Yeah, because one of the things that's coming out from all of the research is if you redesign your workflow for an age of AI, you're likely to get better results than if you just take your existing suboptimal, let's call it, workflow on something. And so for them, it's about, first of all, you focus on the problem, which is, what's the best workflow to solve that problem?
And I had this. I was at AIS New South Wales, the amazing head office there. That they were doing an agentic day last week, and I spent the day with them, and we were looking at and exploring those issues. I showed them what agents were first of all to get their head around it, and then we kind of talked about the business problems they had. So there was one lady that had to do special educational needs reports, and they had to be a specific format. So she went in and she kind of just super prompted it and said, "Look, this is my role. This is the type of output I'm looking at from the agent." And then she was able to kind of utilize that to do some of her special education needs reporting. So it was very much from her workflow perspective rather than, this is an agent that's built one for the sake of it.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so next piece of news. OpenAI announced something called Atlas.
Oh, yeah. This is fun.
Now, Atlas, so this was labeled ChatGPT Atlas. It's basically a browser built with AI within it. So not a browser with AI added, but it's like in there. And so because it's ChatGPT that's in there, it's kind of got your memory of things you've done. It's got all of that context. But it can start doing things for you.
The actions part, you mentioned.
Yeah, so you've got 20 tabs open. It's like, summarize all these 20 papers for me. Or I've been looking for a price for this. Go and, just put it into a table for me because it's on these 20 different tabs. Now, Perplexed announced something called Comet, which is very similar. They were first to market with it. So the first thing I tried, Dan, is can I get it go and complete my course for me? Can I get it to go and do my assessments?
He's such a cheater. He does it all the time.
And here's the good news. It won't go and complete a course in your Canvas LMS much of the time. So a bit like all AI is random.
Yes.
Some people manage to get it to do it.
I saw
others
that.
didn't.
I was going to push you on that because I saw the comments on social media about the fact that he couldn't do courses, and then some people going, "Well, I've just done a course with it."
Yeah, and so here's the thing.
Interesting.
With all of these things, our students are going to be smarter than we are, and they are going to learn how to hack it. And so just be ready for the point that we're now seeing these kind of AI integrated browsers that will start doing things for you. There's a risk for assessments, there's a risk for take-home assignments, there's a risk for all kinds of stuff. And there's an upside as well. Like if you've got to do compliance training, you can get it to do it for you. But the real win here is we're starting to see where AI might start to take some of our kind of doing the dishes type work. Like, I've got to take this spreadsheet and put it into this system. That very soon we're going to be in a world where I can say, actually, I need you to take that spreadsheet and go and type it into our student management system for me. Now, there's a whole load of security worries as you start to allow this kind of thing. So IT managers will be freaking out about the risk here. But it's a pointer to what's coming ahead.
Yeah, and so just thinking about it just generally from a consumer point of view, the amount of forms you've got to fill in, or if you go into a school, the enrollment forms, I was filling an online form the other day, and already some of those form fill-in tools, the one I had to do the other day, I basically barely had to fill anything in. It was Adobe Sign, so I had to go next, sign. It was a legal document. But, there's a lot of pain in that area. But I'm still thinking, as a consumer and as a user, where would that browser support me? It's still one of those things. I think maybe if you're in, you used to work at Google, and that's predominantly a browser-based entire ecosystem. So that might be like the first kind of obvious area where you've got the browser being able to interact with you work you're doing, possibly. So how do you see it from that point of view?
Yeah, so I think about that. So let's talk about the example as Word, because Word is on the web and it's also an application on your device. Yeah. So if you're using the web version and you're using it through ChatGPT Atlas, you're going to have Copilot going, hey, don't forget me. And then you're going to have ChatGPT. And so because I'm a ChatGPT user, I might say, I want you to rewrite this like me. And I don't need to tell it how I write because it knows that from all the other interactions I have. Or, look, I need to take this document and represent it for this kind of audience. And it knows all of the context about me. Like it knows we do a podcast. It knows what we talk about on the podcast. So all of that context it's got there, as opposed to AI that is built into the tools that has no context outside of the tools. Copilot is a bit different because Copilot has got your work context. But it doesn't know you as a person.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. And I suppose it's going to blur the lines then as well. I suppose that's where I'm scratching my head a little bit because it's all Mac at the minute. It's going to be available for Windows and Linux or whatever coming up. But I suppose the question is also, how does that, as a consumer tool versus enterprise tools, we got to be careful about, if it is looking over my emails. And I'm using ChatGPT Consumer, looking over my emails in a work context, so there's a lot of privacy there as well. So, but it's an interesting one, booking holidays, things like that.
And definitely in the world of we're building this plane as we're flying, it's an indicator of where things are going to be in the future.
And there's other ones as well, isn't it? Because I know in the Microsoft ecosystem, Copilot Vision is there, so that when you're in the browser, you can click that and it sees your context of your page and what you're doing. There's obviously all these other things that are being embedded in Windows. I'm sure Apple will start having that as well soon. There's other browsers. Perplexed got a browser.
Yeah.
That does that already, doesn't it?
Yeah. So we've got a heap of things like that. So yeah, it's directional. It's not the thing that changes everything. But gosh, here's another thing. I mean, it is the thing that changes everything if your students get it and they start doing all your assignments with it.
True.
We're going to need the HAL Do you
Yes.
remember 2001: A Space Odyssey? Open the
open
pod
one.
doors. I'm sorry, I can't do that for you. We're going to need a version
good.
of HAL to go,
Yeah.
yeah, you're trying to skip learning here. I'm not going to do it for you.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so talking about opinions, Ethan Mollick, I'm hoping that everybody on the podcast follows Ethan Mollick on
100%,
Twitter or LinkedIn, because he shares a lot of brilliant AI stuff. And he's an educator from Wharton School of Business in the University of Pennsylvania. Anyway, he wrote an opinionated guide to using AI right now. And one of the things that I thought was really good is there's a table.
I was looking at that in the show notes.
I'll put it in the show notes.
It's very good.
And so it's about which tool to pick to do what in AI. So, for example, you want to create an image? Which tool do you pick? And so his advice there is free is good. Like, you don't need to pay to be able to create good images. Whereas creating a video, you probably need to think about paid tools if you want to do certain things within them. So it's a great little table. He talks about, so one of the use cases is tutoring or teaching. And so what AI do you pick? And he says it depends completely on the complexity of the topic. But for sure, use the learning modes. So in Gemini, Claude, Copilot, ChatGPT, they all have learning modes. Make sure you turn on the learning mode. But if you're trying to understand nuclear physics, you'll probably go for a plus or a pro version, because you're going to get more thinking out of the AI.
So, and he's done that across multimedia, practical guidance, use case, seeking information, technical help, writing, self-expression. So, really interesting.
And all of those categories are the top uses of AI systems. That came out of the OpenAI report about a month ago. So he's mapped to those top uses. So we now know what people are using AI for. He's making recommendations about which tool.
And he's not exactly the tool. He's saying the type of tool.
Yeah,
like whether it's
do you
a
need
free
to pay
one
for
or
it?
a paid one.
Can you use the free one? Do you need a specialist tool or a general tool?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the other thing that I thought was really interesting is Google have been doing some work on something called LearnLM.
Yes.
And LearnLM is basically a large language models built specifically for education scenarios. They've been doing this work for about 2.5, 3 years. We've been seeing research reports come out around it, and I think it's the right direction to go in. And they have just published some work around AI-augmented textbooks. So this is basically, let's take a digital textbook.
This is really good.
And use it with an AI system to make it much more interactive. And they've been experimenting with different things, because we don't know, Dan. We don't know which way to use AI is going to be most effective for learning. So it is super important that we have these experiments going on, in the same way that I feel really positive about the fact that Australia has got different experiments in different systems and states, because we need to know whether one approach is better than the other, or there are benefits to that approach and benefits to that approach, and bring them together.
But I suppose what this does as well is similar to learning. We don't, everybody learns differently. So, and the purpose of this, when I was looking at the Learn Your Way Google tools, is obviously based upon the read-along tools that have come in the Google Suite for a while. This is more personalized. So it'll say, well, Dan, you're interested in guitars and soccer and whatever. And then, it'll know a bit of context for me. So then it'll say, well, let's talk about coastal erosion with music, or with that context. That's a very random topic there. But
I'm going to take you right back to, we sat next to each other in the Sydney Music Hall listening to somebody talk about quantum computing.
Yes, we did.
And they brought their guitar with them.
Yes.
And they demonstrated how a guitar string was like quantum computing.
Yes, Dr. David somebody. Or yes.
And I had to ask you afterwards to explain the analogy to me, because I have got no interest in guitars, Dan.
Yeah.
And you make them.
Yeah.
And so, for me, a better scenario would have been helpful. So imagine you take a digital textbook, you apply a bit of AI onto it and go, okay, well, we know this student is interested in this. Let's personalize the examples to work for that student.
Yeah, and the other thing as well is what the researchers said for years, and what teachers know as well, is that literacy is the key of entry for a lot of subjects, and predominantly some of that area is because you need to read the texts for science and maths and history and geography. So getting literacy up opens the doors to all the other subjects. So if you can get a textbook that then understands what you enjoy, understands your reading level, more importantly, then you can kind of get that specifically to you as a user. I love that.
And you can customize things like quizzes so it produces mind maps, audio lessons, interactive timelines, and quizzes.
Very cool.
But if you think about it, producing a quiz, I'm into cricket. If I had maths tests that had cricket examples in it, it would make more sense to me. I'd feel more motivated. You're probably into pubs, so I'm imagining darts, anything that involves counting down from 180.
That's really hard. Yeah, you always find people who get at darts are great at maths in their head, aren't they? And cricket. I remember all the little cricket ledgers. It's a kind of score.
So as well as doing the stuff, they also did some research into testing it out with 60 high schoolers. Let me run you through the numbers. So what they did was, some students just worked with the plain digital textbook, not personalized. The others worked with the LearnLM tools. What they found was about a 10% boost in assessment results immediately, about a 10% boost in retention after 3 days. And then the other metrics they looked at, every single one was more positive with the LearnLM, where students were more confident, they were more comfortable with the assessments that had been personalized. They found it more enjoyable, significantly more enjoyable, actually. 90% found it enjoyable compared to 57% given the textbook.
Makes sense, doesn't it? And that's a pre-print, proper piece of research, isn't it? Yeah. Not just something general, like from a marketing point of view.
And here's a side note. So they said, using multiple formats didn't automatically lead to better scores. So that's interesting, isn't it? Because often we think, we've got to give them lots of different formats.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a difference. Okay, gosh, Dan, we better start talking really fast. There's some Pew research into AI attitudes around the world. So this is about public perceptions about AI. They asked people about how much they're using AI in daily life and how do they feel about it.
So this is from Pew Research.
Pew Research.
What are they?
It's an American research organization.
Okay.
But they have surveyed 25 countries globally. So the question they said is, does the increased use of AI in daily life make you feel ... Now the ... more concerned or more excited? Okay, so Americans, Italians, and Australians are world champions at worrying about AI. So they are at the top of the table of more concerned. The UK was in there, 7th out of 25.
Right.
So Australia doesn't surprise me because we've seen that a few times. US surprises me. The America is the most concerned about increased use of AI. Like half of Americans are more concerned than excited. On the positive side, the countries that were positive, Israelis, South Koreans, and Swedes are the 3 most excited about the rise of AI. But it's a big difference. Like in the US, 50% of people are excited, are concerned, and just 10% of people are excited. Even in Israel, where they're super positive, 21% of people are concerned and 29% excited. So it's not like it's an overwhelming
more
change.
Australia statistics there?
Australia was 49% were concerned and just 13% were excited.
Come on, Aussies.
Dan, turns out we're unique.
What are we doing?
Okay, bit more tech. Dan, I saw on the Windows blog that Copilots arrived in Windows.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a couple of announcements with that. The Windows announcement, obviously. So, hey, Copilot is going to start to run things inside your PC, which is quite good. So, enabling you to operate your computer and it'd be able to see the things you're doing. Extensions.
I can press a button and say, what's this on my screen?
Yeah.
Or where do I find the setting for sound or whatever it might be?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that's been coming for a while. And then also from the Microsoft consumer team, there was a big update announced last week as well, or it might be the beginning of this week. I've lost track of time, right? But there was don't forget the consumer team in Microsoft. If you're interested, there's some Mustafa Suleyman, and we've talked about some of his books. The Coming Wave, I think, was one of his books, which is amazing. But he's his team have released a lot of things in the consumer land. So that's very much the Copilot that you'd be using on your PC at home, on your mobile device, which has got things now like Copilot Vision in there. There's a couple of groups, which is interesting.
Yep.
And I think it's interesting, whether you're Microsoft, Google, or whatever, it's always interesting to see what the different affordances are, like the Vision with the browser. So I think the groups one is quite interesting.
They're all copying each other, aren't they? Because, somebody comes out with groups and somebody else will do groups.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's why it's interesting. So like another thing to think about, another direction is that way of being able to connect together. So in the Copilot, the actual business version, you can share and collaborate in your prompts, but now this is sort of coming out in the consumer version, so I could work with you on a conference, and we can kind of use Copilot in the background.
This is weird. I'm turning into you, because I'm just about to say boo hiss, because in education, we don't want people using the consumer thing because there's no protection for their data. I've stolen your script, then.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so they must have done some changes to Copilot for education as well, though, haven't they?
Yes, at the same time, they released a whole heap of stuff for the consumer version, so that's worth looking at. We'll put the link in the show notes. Quite fun. And there's even a Clippy
I saw that
Easter egg in there, but wouldn't spoil that now. But it's good to know where companies are thinking about the future, but in the actual enterprise version, you're right. Which
is also called Copilot, but we know it's for enterprise because it's got a geeky name, M365 Copilot.
M365 Copilot. Okay. Yeah. So that version, the chat version, which is free, has now got a surprise, a learn agent in it.
Okay.
So an agent the students can go into and actually support some of their learning, creates flashcards and things like that.
Yep.
And also a teaching agent, which is again focused on creating lessons, rubrics, connected to all the curriculum and things like that. So there's a lot in that area, and also they reduced the price on the expensive Copilot, which is the one which is grounded in your work, to about $18 US. So there's a lot of information that's been released from those two products as well in the last week.
Okay.
So definitely worth looking at.
So two things I've taken out of all of that. One is there's extra educational capabilities in the enterprise/education version of Copilot, which is M365 Copilot and M365 Copilot Chat.
Yes.
And the one that is integrated in with my Office and can read my inbox and gets all of that context, that's more than halved in price.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, brilliant for education.
Yes, for education.
Okay,
only. Yeah.
super. Okay, another news story. Let's just do this really quickly. I read a story, the title was, "The Lecturers Learning to Spot AI Misconduct."
Okay.
Honestly, I'm glad I was standing nowhere near a desk at the time because I'd have been banging my head against it.
Yeah.
It's very depressing. BBC ran a story about De Montfort University in the UK, where the lecturers are now being given guidance and face-to-face training on how to spot the signs of wrongful AI use amongst students. And so they talked about specific markers like high repetition of the same word or Americanisms. Look, we know this stuff doesn't work. AI detectors don't work. There's plenty of research to say that even experts attempting to spot AI written stuff get it wrong.
Yeah.
Do you remember that research from Reading University a year ago where they had 35 papers in a pile of 1,000
That's
and
right.
teachers
The
only
ethics
spotted
got
2.
through for that, yeah. That's
So, look, I feel sad for all those people that learned to use the M-dash before the M-dash became a sign that people go, oh, you must be using AI.
M-dash?
M-dash.
M-dash.
M-dash is a double hyphen. It's a bit like, it's a punctuation mark, a bit like a comma or a full stop.
An M-dash.
And there are hundreds of thousands of classically trained writers that use M-dashes because it is a particularly useful punctuation mark. But
right. What is it again? Explain that to me. I'm lost. This is hard on the tokens.
In Word, hit hyphen twice and you get a long hyphen.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
that's the M-dash.
Right.
And AI is using it all the time. I haven't found a way to tell it not to use it.
Yes, true.
And now I've got a colleague who's a professional writer who says, I can't use the M-dash anymore. And teachers in Leicester are being taught that's a sign of
but I
AI
suppose
writing.
there are things that are kind of very quick telltale signs, aren't they? Like like puts lots of emojis in, puts lots of hyphens in. There are lots of things that appear, but are we digging in the wrong place is the thing, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's all supposition. Or doesn't seem like it's written by a person isn't the same as I'm sorry, we're going to zero your mark because we know you didn't do this yourself. Okay, so last thing. So here's the antidote to that. University of New England in Australia.
Yes.
Because there's also a University of New England in America.
Yeah.
I also found out James Cook University, there's one of them in the UK as well.
Really?
Yeah, they don't have unique names. Anyway, the University of New England in Australia are rolling out their AI system called MagWick, which is to do with the local area, actually, the name comes from. So it's a multi-model AI system. They are rolling it out to all of their students. So their students
and that's a big university as well, isn't it? They do online stuff.
Yeah, in Australian terms, it's smallish, but they've probably got, 20,000 students. So big in global terms.
Yes.
But if you're an academic at UNE, your students are being given AI tools to use. You've got to work out how to integrate that into your teaching. That's fantastic, because then if you're teaching business, it's like, well, how do I relate the AI things that businesses are doing to what you're going to do in the classroom? It's going to force a bit of change.
Yes, yeah. Interesting.
Okay, Dan. I also found some research. Okay.
Yay!
So first paper. As usual with Dan with research, I'm going to read out the full name of the paper without taking a breath halfway through.
And this one's from a friend of the podcast, isn't it?
This is from Vince
I'm
Wall.
excited about this one.
Do you remember those brilliant students from Queensland that came on the podcast in Series 12?
Yeah.
The 6 girls talking about how they used AI. Vince was their teacher. And Vince Wall has written a paper called The Bubble and Burner Model of AI Infusion, a Framework for Teaching and Learning. So what he's done, basically, is to say AI is unavoidable in schools, fact one.
Yeah.
Therefore, we need to think about how students use it, but also we need to make sure that students learn how to think first before they start using AI. And so he's created an analogy of the bubble and the burner. You would know the Bunsen burners.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wonder where Mr. Bunsen is now. So the bubble part is about how do you regulate the burner so that you've got this ever-growing bubble in your little thermos flask. I can even picture that now. Yeah. I can smell the classroom. So the bubble part is about how the students' use of AI should grow alongside their expertise. So you don't whack your Bunsen burner up to full temperature and make it explode. You slowly grow something.
Yeah.
And the Bunsen part is about the teacher's job in managing and regulating AI.
Yeah.
So it's really smart. He also talks about how teachers need to act as ethical gatekeepers and know when to say no to AI use in order that you're making sure that students are thinking and learning, not just offloading learning.
Yeah, which teachers also need to be aware of that as well, when to use it and when not to. Yeah, so.
Okay, Dan, does being polite to AI help or hinder?
Oh, another one of these. Right, okay. So just refreshing our memories on some other research. Originally,
yes,
we had to be polite.
You had to be polite.
Then there was research that said, actually, it doesn't matter anymore.
Yep.
So this is another one.
Yeah, okay, so...
I wonder where we're going with this.
So I found 2 different papers.
Right.
One from a group at Carnegie Mellon said that when you're being friendly to AI, when you ask follow-up questions, you get lower quality answers. That paper is called Thermal Fickle, Evaluating Large Language Models' Consistency in Sequential Interactions.
Of course it is.
I've yet to find a paper that isn't a mouthful. But another group were testing lots of different scenarios on LLMs, and they tested, does flattery work? Does politeness? Does making assumptions change the answer? And they found that politeness reduced the answer accuracy and emotional tone increased accuracy.
Right.
So please give me the answer. Reduces accuracy. I am at the end of my tether. I can't find out the answer. Increases the accuracy.
Right.
Okay. And they created a benchmark called Gaslight Bench.
Oh, no. That's brilliant.
And so the paper is called Gaslight Bench, Quantifying LLM Susceptibility to Social Prompting. So if anybody listened to this podcast 2 years ago, they'd heard it say, be nice, say please, thank you, it improves the answers. Now you don't need to. Okay. We stop being nice to each other, Dan. Do you think it'll change the answers? Okay.
Yes.
Next bit of research is called What Does Good Teaching Mean in the AI Age? Came from Murdoch University and the Kaplan Business School. Look, this paper challenges the idea that AI won't replace teachers. So I've got a very strong view AI won't replace teachers. Because teachers' role is way more than just teaching, isn't it?
Yes.
So what they're saying is teachers might end up asking harder questions because AI comes in and upskills students a little bit more. So as we see more AI tools in the classroom,
That's fair. Yeah.
and more AI used in assessments, the skills of students is going to go up. And that is going to help teachers, not sideline them. So just because students are learning more from other sources than just from the teacher, it doesn't mean that we in any way reduce the role of the teacher. In actual fact, we may end up elevating the role of the teacher.
Yeah.
And so they talked about, actually, we need to rethink what learning actually is. We have the same thing around conversations. We need to rethink exams, because if an AI can answer all the exams, why are we insisting that students know it? So the paper basically says, look, it's neither a magical fix or a big threat. It's something that is just going to change things. And so there are two important messages in this research paper. One is design matters more than detection. So instead of banning AI, teachers need to rethink how they do learning design and assessments. And the second thing is, and this is so true, critical thinking is now more important than ever.
What's critical thinking?
Well, for me, it's the ability to ask the right question and to judge answers and then to twist things and go in different directions rather than just blindly follow the dots.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really nice paper. It's a well-written paper. It's from researchers within Australia. Next
From
paper.
Murdoch Uni, yeah.
Research. How university students work on assessment tasks with generative AI matters of judgment. Oh, okay. This is from the Cradle team at Deakin.
Right. Okay.
So
What was the Cradle
Australia.
team?
Cradle. They have spent. It's a specific research team at Deakin University that are looking at assessment of learning.
Okay.
And they were in existence well before AI appeared. They went through and interviewed students about their use of AI while they were scrolling through their AI chat history. So they basically sat people down and said, "Oh, show us your chat history and tell us what you were trying to do."
That's interesting.
I do that in my workshop sometimes. Sometimes I come a cropper because I asked a weird question. I have to explain it. But this is how I use AI. And so they did that with students in order to understand why they chose AI. Why did they go to AI for that task rather than themselves? Where did they start and stop with AI? Do you try it yourself, get stuck, and then go to AI? Or do you go straight to AI?
Yep.
And when do you stop using AI? For me,
That's really interesting, isn't it?
a lot of the things I do around information processing and writing, I use AI from 0 to 80%, and then I stop, and the last 20% is always me.
There's a nice prompt actually that I used the other day. I'm just going to try to find it. But it was, I basically just asked my Copilot chat, which is the one that's grounded with work, how much time, look at all my emails and my Teams messages telling me how much time I've spent.
Yeah.
And they gave me a nice little table and said, you spent this long, in emails, I spent this long looking at an Excel spreadsheet and where it saved me time, and it kind of gave me a grounding around that. So that was quite interesting. So that prompt, we put that in the show notes as well.
Oh, super. Okay. Maybe let's do two more bits of research. So, big breath. Oh, sorry, we was doing the Cradle one.
We were,
Yeah,
yes.
because, there were two findings that really matter in this.
Yes.
One is, here's what they say. When students judge AI, they are also often judging themselves. So we need to help students recognize themselves in their interactions with technology. So the way you ask questions of AI and the way I ask is different. Should it be standardized? Do we need to understand our relative strengths and weaknesses?
Right.
So how do you help students increase their use of AI? And that comes back to the cognitive skills and the, asking the right questions and things.
Yeah.
The second bit is, they said, evaluating AI output is only part of the game. We also need to support students in recognizing what and how each party, i.e. the student and the AI, contribute to the outputs, which is important.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
know where I start and stop, but then I'm in a different place. Okay, last research paper. It's called AI Knows Best: The Paradox of Expertise, AI Reliance and Performance in Educational Tutoring Decision-Making Tasks.
Berserk, aren't they?
Okay, this comes from Carnegie Mellon, University of Hong Kong, and they look into the differences between AI tutors and real-life tutors.
Yeah.
Now, let me jump you to a parallel. Do you remember a year ago we talked about some research with doctors where AI was looking at medical images and was more accurate than a doctor, but when a doctor used AI to help them, because they overrode the AI sometimes because they knew best, it turned out that was less accurate than AI on its own. Turns out it's the same for tutors.
Oh, really? Okay,
so what they did, a bunch of experienced tutors and a bunch of inexperienced tutors, and then gave them some AI tutor support. So the AI would look at the questions the student had, would draft some answers, and then the experienced and the non-experienced tutors were then to judge whether that was helpful to the student and was going to help the student learn more. Turns out the expert tutors overrode the AI more often when the AI had right answers. If you're a novice, you'll accept AI's answers and go, yeah, that's a great answer to give to the student. And if you're an expert, you go, well, I wouldn't put it like that, I'd put it like this. And it turned out it made the results worse than if you just accepted it.
Yeah, wow.
And this is, I mean, this goes back to the self-driving car problem. Self-driving cars are 8 times safer than humans, but we all think we're above average drivers. And therefore, I'm not giving over control.
That's got to be, a much higher threshold.
Dan.
Well, before you go, I just found while you were talking there, when we were talking about that piece of research where I saved my time.
Oh, yes.
When you were talking about
Can we put this in the show notes?
We could do.
Okay.
And it was basically, it said that my main uses were drafting email responses, summarizing email threads, creating a first draft of a document. I was turning notes into minutes and action items. I finding and synthesizing information across different files, changing the tone of text, prepping for a meeting, and cleaning up data in Excel. So that apparently saved me 10.5 hours in the last week.
Okay, so I've got a question. So I can see your screen, and it says baseline time and Copilot time. So is it saying that normally it takes you 10 minutes to respond to an email or write a response to an email, and when you do it with Copilot, it only takes you 4 minutes?
Yeah, but I don't think that's my time. I think that's a generic time.
Right. Okay.
So I think that's something the system whatever they in the background is kind of thinking, well, this is what's baked into it. Could be mine. I'm not sure, but we'll share that in the show notes. But it was very simple prompt, but it does tie in. It gives you a bit of an idea anyway.
At some point in the future, we probably should have an episode where we talk about efficacy. Like, there's all these different ways of measuring whether AI is helping us or not. Like, I measure it by creativity, not by time. Is it going to help me be more creative in a task? Is it going to help me think in a wider way? But a lot of organizations measure it by, are we saving you 10 minutes on your email? Or are we saving you producing meeting minutes and things like that? So we should have a whole episode about that and find somebody interesting to debate it with.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Dan, we have run horribly over. We were aiming for half an hour. Folks, it's been 47 minutes. I'm really sorry. Thank you for sticking with us.
Yes.
Next week, we'll have an interesting guest instead of you listening to us just wittering on.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.